Nothing beats the smell of a new book. The ink, the paper. I can almost hear the presses running. Hello, my name is David Novak. I'm here to tell you why you should at least consider printed books over eBooks. A Roman statesman, Marcus Cicero, said, "A room without books is like a body without soul." I originally went to school for and trained as a printer and bookbinder, which of course makes me biased towards printing and printed material. I'm not against ebooks. In fact, I think there is definitely a place for them. But a traditional book is superior in almost all ways to an ebook. I would like to explain how so you can develop an appreciation for the book arts as well. So there are two main reasons to read, right? One is to learn about subject matter and the other is about enjoyment. First, then, we'll take a look at the learning aspects of reading, and then we will focus on the enjoyment or fun part of reading. When it comes to learning, there are a lot of pros and cons when considering textbooks versus ebooks. Procon.org of Division of Britannica released an article explaining the pros and cons of tablets. Without going over the whole article, I will quickly highlight some of these here. Let's start with the pros of tablets. Procon.org cited PBS saying 77% of teachers found technology to increase student motivation to learn. Procon went on further to state that tablets can hold hundreds of textbooks, quizzes, homework, and other material. A backpack full of textbooks weigh considerably more than a tablet. Tablets help immerse a student into a world of technology. New versions of a textbook can be updated instantly, and files can be stored in a cloud service and accessed by other devices. Using a tablet can be intuitive, which can make learning fun and easier. I see tablets in the hands of really small children now that promotes learning at a very young age. Personally, I use my iPad all the time, and have purchased some textbooks and reference materials digitally because I wanted to access them immediately. So this sounds great, right? We know tablets are here to stay, but what about some cons? I mentioned very young children having access to tablets, but research done by Scholastic.com says parents are still a bit skittish about putting tablets in the hands of the very young. In fact, Scholastic claims 68% of parents prefer their 6 to 8-year-olds to read print books. They want their children to have that tactile experience, to share their favorite books with friends, and furthermore, they say the best app is the human one. Now, Procon also claims 87% of teachers, K through 12, say that tablets cause students to be easily distracted and have shorter attention spans because of the added apps. Now listen to this. Procon cites Pulitzer Prize winner Nicholas Carr in his peer-reviewed studies explaining the brain's lowered ability to process, comprehend, and retain digital text by 20 to 30%. If this is detrimental to your brain's health, also consider this. Reading by what is called blue light from e-readers increases alertness and suppresses melatonin, according to studies done by Harvard University. This disrupts the natural body's clock, resulting in less sleep. They also point out that chronic melatonin suppression is linked to certain cancers. Another con to tablets is that they can easily be broken when dropped. A textbook, on the other hand, can be repaired with glue and tape. Tablets require Wi-Fi, and not all homes have the capability for this. Furthermore, tablets can be hacked, freeze up, crash, and run out of battery life. Finally, tablets are more susceptible to theft than a textbook. So you have learned some of the pros and cons of tablets, so now let's talk about traditional books. Not just textbooks, but all printed books. Traditional printed books are superior to ebooks in many different ways. Bestschools.org lists 50 reasons traditional books are better, and I would like to tell you some of my favorites from the article as well as from my own experience. You can see and feel the pages as you progress through a book. In fact, it's a multi-sensory experience rather than just sight. I can take a book anywhere and never have to worry about the battery dying. You can write in the margins easier in a book. My textbooks also double as my notebooks. I underline, circle, write, and add notes, highlight, really whatever I want. I can take complete ownership and personalization of a book rather than just borrowing the text off an e-reader. It's also easier to have multiple bookmarks simply by folding the pages. There's also a used book market where you can buy used books pretty cheap compared to an ebook. A used bookstore is an experience in itself, and you can't get that through a digital screen. I love the tactile pleasure of owning a book. Each book is a unique experience. In this example, I received this book of poems from a friend who just retired from the print shop at Cambridge University. The cover is beautifully illustrated. Inside there are some beautiful end papers. Here you can see I already personalized this with my own bookplate. And he hand-printed 120 copies of this and numbered it and signed it for me, along with a nice note that I'll just keep right with the book. A book like this, or any book for that matter, may also serve well as decoration for your home. Remind you, when you glance at it, the connection you have with it, like an old friend. You don't need Wi-Fi or phone signal. In fact, you can go directly off the grid and enjoy a book. How about the beach? Your printed book can handle a little sand, and also the sun will not affect reading the screen. And mental mapping and memorization. Books are three-dimensional objects. It's easier to remember illustrations, lines, quotes, and verbal cues from tangible pages. Besides, page 7 will always be page 7. It will not change from reformatting if you turn your book sideways. Books as artifacts have a permanence about them. Here is an example of a history book that was published right here in La Crosse in 1873. It was just 8 years after the American Civil War. Interesting what history looked like to the people of that era without the knowledge of automobiles, flight, world wars, and technology as we know it today. Speaking of artifacts, a book is a perfect place to press a flower or a leaf, keep a letter or a note, place a stamp, or other mementos. In this book, I found a letter dated from 1894 to a resident of Bangor. There was also an ad from a seed catalog, which I thought was cool to find, and these items, they provide insight to life in the 19th century. I too try to put little surprises in some of my books for future generations to find. You just can't do this with an ebook. So to conclude, we covered reading to learn on tablets versus textbooks and the pros and cons of each when it comes to education, and a bunch of reasons why to read real traditional books along with a couple of examples. I think about the printed word and its validity. I turn my thoughts to religion and think about the Bible. I also consider other religions, such as Buddhism and Buddhist scriptures, Taoism and the I Ching, or Islam and the Quran. Each of these religions have Holy Scripture. When I go to church, the priest holds the Bible reverently. Sometimes he holds it up to God, but always reverently. Just wouldn't be the same with an ebook. In fact, one could say the printed word is part of a meaningful human experience. So the next time you pick up a new book, crack it open, bury your face, take a big smell, and enjoy the journey. Thanks for watching, everybody.